Hello and welcome to Super OK, where we try to do a decent enough job to entertain people with our opinions on video games. My name is Dale, as always, and I am joined here by some absolutely amazing human beings. We're going to start with Mel. Mel, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing super well. How are you?
I'm good. This is an audio format, but you guys can't see it. Mel is cupping her face as though she were taking like a senior portrait, maybe?
Yeah,
um,
sorta.
when she said she was doing super well. And I didn't expect that it would change your voice, but it does just a little bit.
Yeah, it makes your voice go higher.
Yeah, just a little bit. That's really interesting. We are also joined here by Kevin, who I can't see, but I'm going to assume he's doing that.
I tried it.
And what were the results, sir?
I didn't speak, but I'm assuming it does change your voice. It's kind of like how you can actually tell when someone's smiling. If you're talking to someone like on the phone, you can tell they're smiling just by
True.
their pitch.
You can tell that someone is smiling, and if they've put their hands up next to their cheeks.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
you
great.
sound whether or not your pitch is higher, you definitely sound cuter.
It
Aw,
is true. That is very true.
thanks. I feel cuter. All right, well, this is a video game podcast. And of course, because of that, we start with a highlight of everyone's week where we talk about something in our week that made our week a little bit better, a little bit brighter, a little bit nicer to live in. And we always let our guest go first. So that means it's you, Kevin. Even though you've been on a couple recently, you're still a guest. So what's your highlight, man?
My highlight of the week actually just happened about 2 hours ago. It was dinner with the boys, and by the boys I mean I have a couple friends from law school that I hadn't seen since we wandered the streets of Ann Arbor after the University of Michigan won the national championship in NCAA. Shout out to College Football 25. I am so excited for it. But either way, we got dinner tonight and it was fantastic. We got some Mexican dinner and I'm super like I'm just like riding the high of that, just seeing some friends and enjoying the time with them.
I have to
Oh,
ask,
nice.
what type of Mexican food did you eat? Was it like tacos? Was it like mole? What was your
Oh,
meal?
so at the table we had enchiladas, tacos, and burritos. I
Oh,
personally went with the enchiladas with
yum.
a salsa verde over top, and then some seasoned rice and pinto beans.
That's solid.
Nice. Nice.
Good
What
meal.
what establishment was this at? Would you like to shout them out?
Oh, for sure. It was Los Tres Amigos. There's a number of them in the area. There was probably so we don't all live in the same area. We were trying to find something that was kind of midway between us, and I recommended Los Tres at one location. It turns out there's another one that was probably much more central. So next time we do this, because I'm a huge fan of Mexican food anyway, we will probably be hitting that establishment.
Nice.
Nice. Very cool. I also had Mexican today, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Instead, I'm going to talk about what my highlight of the week is, which was that AEW held a pay per view last night called Revolution, and it was the wrestler Sting's last match, his retirement match. Now, if anyone here is a fan of professional wrestling, they know that Sting is a legend. He's been wrestling for like 40 years. The man is 63 years old. He put on his last match. It was insane. This 63-year-old man got thrown off a stage through a table. He got thrown through a pane of glass. It was a tornado tag match where his partner was Darby Allin, uh, and his opponents were the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the EVPs of AEW. And at one point, um, Matt or Nick, one of the brothers Jackson, was in front of a pane of glass that was held up by six folding chairs.
Wait,
And
what?
so, of course, Darby, yeah, like set across the seats of these six folding chairs was this huge pane
Okay.
of glass. and Nick was like standing in front of it, like dazed from an attack. And so Darby took that moment to climb up a 20-foot ladder that was inside the ring. So he's about 20 feet, 25 feet off the ground, and jump at the brother Jackson who was in front of this glass. His brother pulled him out of the way, and Darby fell through a pane of glass that obviously shattered on impact. It was one of the most gnarly things I've ever seen in any match ever. Uh, Luckily, he was mostly okay after that. He only needed 12 stitches. It looked like he was going to need way more. His back looked like hamburger meat. It was fucking crazy. If
Oh
you
yeah,
get
only
the
12.
chance, yeah, if you get the chance to watch this match, watch this match. It was perfect. Like
Okay.
Sting's sons came out in the beginning dressed as him from older eras, and his kids look exactly like him. So that was amazing. His kids were involved in the match a little bit at one point. Ric Flair took 2 super kicks to the face during this match. Shit
Wait,
What?
what?
was Ric Flair's like 70 and the dude took 2 super kicks to the face. Like shit was crazy. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was a guest timekeeper for this. And he took a chair to the midsection. Like the whole match was insane. Sting went out on top, which was awesome. He won, which means that he was undefeated in AEW. Um,
Nice.
Absolutely amazing finish. Absolutely amazing way to let this legend of the industry go out. I cannot recommend checking out that match enough. And honestly, the whole Revolution pay per view was worth checking out. There were a lot of good matches on it, a lot of unexpected things. And if you're like, hey man, I really like anime, check out wrestling. It's basically anime for rednecks. It's great.
Okay, so I do have a quick question for you.
Oh yeah.
Who was the better tag partner for Sting? Darby Allin or that Bat when he was in WCW?
He uses the bat still. Um, yeah, one cool thing about Sting being 63 years old is his gimmick is him wearing a long leather trench coat and wielding a bat. And so you can do that as a 63-year-old also, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but Darby Allin was an absolutely amazing tag partner for Sting for the last 3 years. Really, really solid job. And unlike all of his previous tag partners, Lex Luger, Ric Flair, never once turned on him. Whereas Flair
Wait, didn't
turned on
they
him
didn't
every
they have
chance
a
he could get.
didn't they have a match against one another? Darby Allin and Sting?
They had like an initial match, and after that, Sting was like, "I like you,"
Okay.
and that's when they partnered up.
Okay.
So yeah, it was great.
Wrestling's crazy. Can we jump back to the part where you said that there was a pane of glass on 6 folding chairs? Li- how did they set that up? Was it like, oh, I'm just going to like nonchalantly just put this pane of glass on these chairs, or was it like stage where like, oh, there's construction and now we're gonna have to like move this glass?
Look, I'm just gonna post the link in the Discord so you can watch what happens because it's madness. But basically, as like Sting and Darby and the brothers Jackson are fighting one another, his kids just start going under the ring and pulling all this crazy shit out. And like they set up tables all over the place and they pulled out 3 different panes of glass.
The tables were a
And
distraction.
no, man, the tables were every table was used. It was
Oh
it
my
was
god.
wild. It was truly wild. People being like pushed off the top rope, like onto a table on the outside of the ring, so they're falling like 8 feet through a table. Like it was wild.
That's crazy.
Also, I'm pretty sure they used tables they weren't anticipating using because at one point Sting got put through a table that had like a bunch of cables and like rolls of duct tape and shit on it. And it's like, if you're going to use the table, you could just have it be clear. We don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
blocking table. That's not an actual table.
Yeah, exactly. It was an actual table. They did it. They went right through it. Shit was wild.
Dang.
So yeah, it was a
That
really
sounds
good time.
Yeah, it sounds very exciting. and probably more exciting than my highlight of the week because I ended up watching Dune over the weekend, Dune Part 2 in theaters, and it was like really freaking good. Like the whole entire movie just looked beautiful. The cinematography was amazing. The acting in it was also great, and the pacing in Dune Part 2 is a lot better than in Part 1, just because like in Part 1 they're like setting up everything for Part 2. But yeah, like we got to see it at like in the Dolby theater, which has like the crazy like sound, like surround sound. So every single
Yeah.
time that like you would see the worms in the sand, like you could feel them coming, which was really cool. So yeah, I highly recommend going to see Dune in theaters. I don't think that watching it at home will do the movie justice because of just how incredible it is to just be in a theater to watch it. You know how like there's some movies like that you just have to go see in the theaters?
Uh-huh.
Dune 2 part 2 is definitely one of them.
Nice. Now, do you have to have seen both of the previous films to see this one?
You probably should watch Dune Part 1, but you don't have to watch like the super old
The one from
Dune.
1984. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Also,
My
they sold out of the stupid Dune bucket popcorn bucket things
oh
on day
oh
1.
the Dune fleshlight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was so disappointed.
The
My husband and I were going to buy one, and
I'm not gonna ask why.
the popcorn bussy?
yeah, because
Yeah.
it's just really funny.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you want to put your hand into a giant sandworm's mouth?
I
Sure,
love
my
that you
hand.
said hand.
Or a fist, whatever you want.
Oh. Okay. All right. Now, question aside, the only question I have, and or the pop cussy aside, the only question I have, and it is related specifically to non spoilers.
Okay.
The end of the first one was kind of like left viewers hanging. Does
Yes.
this one have more of a complete end to the story?
Yes, it's definitely more
Okay.
complete, but there is still like, well,
I
what
and
happens next, you know?
Yeah,
Like
it's
because
okay
they're
if there's, like, more story to tell. I just wanna know if I have, like, a feeling where I'm not being completely left at the like, on a cliffhanger,
for
like
sure.
I did at the end of the first one.
Yeah, this one does have like an ending to it. A little bit of like going, oh, what's gonna, like what's gonna happen with these people and what now? But yeah, part 1 was definitely like one of those things where it's like, damn, like you left it like that, like you left it where like they're in the middle of the desert, like
Yeah.
what? Like,
Yeah, it kinda like and I don't know if I'm throwing out a spoiler here, but kinda like the way that Across the Spider-Verse ended, where it was like, "Oh, I don't have
yeah,
any closure to any story point at
Yeah.
at this
mm-hmm,
juncture."
yeah,
Yeah.
very,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm never a fan of like movies or games that don't tell you it's a part one when it's obviously a part one.
agreed.
Right.
Yeah,
You know? I think that is the one thing that you should be okay to spoil is that you're not gonna get closure in this one, you know?
right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, I did miss the beginning of that question though because Mel talking about fisting a popcorn bucket. Definitely, I l- I laughed so hard that I started a coughing fit, and the coughing fit was so hard that it caused my headphones to fall off my head.
Oh no.
So pretty good, pretty good. It's gotta rank up there as the funniest thing I've heard all day. It was absolutely amazing. Speaking of rankings, rankings in video games have been a thing for almost as long as video games have been. Whether it's sending twin galaxies of VHS tape of your best playthrough because they are, for some reason, the people who are keeping track of everyone's Donkey Kong and Pac Man scores, or more modern games where you can see your global ranking at the push of a button. It is no secret that most competitive gamers really want to know where they stand. And the three of us here, we're gamers, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Sure.
totally.
So let's talk about what it's like to be at the top of the mountain, or more likely, what the top looks like when you are stuck in silver and you're looking upward. Let's start with the obvious question. What is the appeal to you for ranked play, if any? And for those who might not be familiar, whoever is the first person to answer, just explain what ranked play is.
Well,
Putting
I'm
us
not gonna
on the
go first
spot?
because
I was gonna say
I don't wanna explain what rank play is.
I would totally get the rank play wrong, but essentially, like, what it is that, like, you're playing these matches, and then if you win, then you move up in, like, some sort of global leaderboards, right? And sometimes when you gain a rank, you can get cool prizes and, like, awards and stuff like that, and you'll move into, like, a higher tier of difficulty amongst the same people in that rank, and it sucks balls. Like, I absolutely hate it. I have no real desire to play these ranked games unless, like, I have to. I am I told Discord earlier today, I'm a fucking filthy casual, and I will be happy to admit that. I hate the idea of being competitive in games because I don't want to deal with the heartache and the stress of playing competitive. It's just it's just too much for me.
Which is ironic because, as I pointed out earlier, like, you have without question played at the highest, like, level or ranking out of anyone else involved in this podcast. Like, you have been involved in, like, championships and shit, right?
Um I mean, like, winning LAN tournaments for sure. Championships, I have, like, seen them and, like, have participated on an admin level for them, but never, like, actually, like, reached that top
Okay.
of, like, that peak. I
But that's
have
still pretty freaking impressive.
yeah, yeah,
You gotta know a thing or two to be allowed to admin a
for
games
sure.
championship.
Yeah, that
Like,
is very, very
don't
true.
sell yourself short here. So I gotta ask, like, obviously you stepped away from that world. You stepped away from playing rank. What was the thing that caused you to do that?
Oh gosh, a great question. Probably because I no longer want to dedicate the time and effort it took to reach that status of being that type of a competitive player. It does take a lot of hours and a lot of just focus on being, you know, the top level of anything, to be honest. And I just no longer wanted to do that. And on top of that, when you reach a certain level of like pro anything, there's a lot of politics involved. There's a lot
Mm,
of you trying to figure out where you are in the grand scheme of everything. And it is not a fun game to play. It is not a fun game to play.
that makes a lot of sense to me. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
Counterpoint,
sense.
I like the bragging rights of ranked game, but then again, I've never gotten to the level that you've gotten to. I am you know how, like, when someone says that they're good at a game, there's like two levels. There's like good amongst their friends, and then like good amongst everyone.
Mhm.
I I usually rank in the good amongst my friends rankings, and not in the good amongst everyone. So I'm probably the best Soul Calibur player amongst my friends. But am I the best Soul Calibur player in the world? Fuck no. I'm not even close. I'm not even top 10,000 probably, right? But I like the bragging rights of being able to go like, "Hey, I'm slightly better than you in this game," right? It's also nice to have like a sense of accomplishment, like, "Oh, I've worked really hard at learning this character, and that means that because of that, I've been able to achieve this rank in this fighting game." You know, that really that like checking off a box really like triggers dopamine in my brain, which is nice. And it I like the fact that it gives us common language when we're talking to other uh like gamers about a specific game, or even like when you're comparing different games within the same genre, because they'll oftentimes use the same ranking systems. And so I might not know as much as you know um about, like, for instance, Street Fighter 6, because that's a game I don't play. But if you tell me like, "Oh yeah, you know, I'm a like high rank in that. I'm like diamond or whatever the ranking system is." I can probably equate that to where it falls on my fighting game of choice, right? Or we can at least get there through like conversation. And I like the fact that it gives that common language for a hobby that is so oftentimes fragmented.
Hmm.
That makes sense. And I promise you, you are definitely the better Voldo player between the two of us. But I think I can press fewer buttons to get Maxi to do a bunch of shit that I never wanted him to do than you can.
Yes,
Ooh.
you mash well.
So good at it. I am much more simple. I like the rewards. I like the free stuff that you get. Almost every game that I have played ranked in any scenario has some sort of level where once you hit that level, you get a bunch of free stuff just for participating in that like season or that time frame of ranked categories. And Mel, to your point, we could talk about the politics of as you rank up higher, looking at things like the lawsuit against Activision by Scump and Hex, or we could just look at like the level that so many games have made ranked available to the vast majority of players just by virtue of the fact that we have the internet and so many easy ways for game servers to be able to accommodate just a total influx of gamers that just want to see where they rank amongst everybody and climb up the ranks as far as they can until they get like hard stuck at a specific area and collect those rewards. So
For sure.
um like for me, I was playing some Pokemon and I looked up the news and they were like, "Hey, we're going to start this new season soon." And I was like, "Yeah, I just need to play two ranked games and regardless of whether I win or lose, and I get a shit ton of rewards. Why wouldn't I do that?"
Yeah,
That's kind of
that
cool.
makes sense.
I I'll be honest with you. A lot of the games that I play don't offer rewards for ranking. They instead offer rewards just for playing, like season pass style stuff. So to hear that there are games out there that offer rewards for ranking, I'm not gonna lie, I have a mixed feeling about, because on one hand it's like it's cool that you're rewarding some of your most dedicated players, but also FOMO is a real thing, and so it sucks that there's some people who are just going to have a skill level that stops them from getting, like, I don't know, a shiny backpack or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Also,
makes a lot of sense.
um, follow-up question to what you said there. You mentioned some lawsuit that's going on, and I don't know what that is, so drop that on me, lawman.
Oh, yeah, I didn't. I just like kind of mentioned in passing because I was familiar with it. But Scump from Optic and Hex, who was the former owner of Optic, are suing Activision because of the Call of Duty League, which is like Call of Duty's like premier kind of a professional gamer league, and they have limited the league to a specific number of teams. Each of those teams has to buy in. The owners of those teams have to front like millions of dollars to secure a
Whoa.
place. And
Ooh.
if they were not able to secure the money in a manner that Activision agreed with, Activision was forcing them to to partner with specific investors that only Activision trusted. So like you couldn't secure those funds from outside sources. So it's the long and short of it is it's an antitrust lawsuit about monopolies and how Activision was trying to operate their shit the way that you would expect like an NFL or an NHL to operate it, but without all of the securities of like a collective
Ah,
bargaining agreement and a group voting cadre amongst the owners of the teams in conjunction with the league. So it's a huge it's a huge monopoly lawsuit that is at the very, very start of it. And the allegations don't look good for Activision if they're proven. Just side note again, like as I always say when I'm here, don't take legal advice from Kevin Tutts on a podcast. But you can pretty much say anything you want in an allegation, and you have to prove that in order to be able to move forward. But at the same time, lawyers are reluctant to make allegations that they don't feel they are comfortable proving if it goes to trial.
Right.
that makes sense. If
That's
I were
wild.
Activision, my defense would be that uh, humans that are called Scump and Hex sounds like the sort of thing you would need to buy a specialty lotion for. Like, oh, I gotta go to the store and get my Scump and Hex lotion.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Um,
not wrong. Yeah.
it sounds like in the same vein of, like, what scurvy is, like, some sort of, like, weird pirate disease.
Yep,
Oh, I got a bad case of scump.
yep. Oh God,
To kind
man.
of track back to, like, another I guess, like, if I had to say, ranked play was appealing for me, it would be that, like, I get to play amongst people who are at the same level as me, so
Mhm.
that way it allows me to, like, play a game without getting fucking stomped on, or for me to be like, "Oh, this is way too easy."
Yeah.
I don't think we
That's
touched base on that. Did we?
No, we really didn't, but that's a great point. Um, so in other words, you don't want no scrubs.
Fair enough. Yeah.
you don't want no scrubs, and also you don't want to feel like a scrub.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
That's that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Very nice of you.
Yep. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the fact that TLC within the last couple days revealed that No Scrubs was written about Dave Coulier. Which,
Wait,
What?
what?
Really?
yeah,
Cut
really,
it out.
yeah, look it up, man. Dave
Is it
Coulier continuing to be one of the most hated comedians of all time by female vocalists.
because he had like that thing with Alanis Morissette too, didn't he?
Where she wrote an entire album about how much she hates his fucking guts called
Yeah.
Jagged Little Pill, one of the top selling albums of all time. Yes.
I didn't know that that was about Dave Coulier.
The
Oh,
This
whole
is
you
album is
gotta
about Dave
look
I
him up.
Coulier.
Yeah.
I am so happy to share an alma mater with that man now.
Yeah, man.
That's just like because most importantly, because I'm not him, but I have enough of a connection to be like, oh yeah, I get why people would consider him to be a shit.
He came back to the high school. We went to the same high school as Dave Coulier. He came back to the high school one day while I was there, and they set up an impromptu, like it wasn't on the calendar, assembly for us to just like come. We all came down to the gym, and Dave Coulier just like talked at us for half an hour. And then
What?
afterwards, it was insane. And then afterwards, he was signing autographs. And my friend Carrie, who was a big fan of Dave Coulier, had a cast on, and she was like, "Will you sign my cast?" And he looks down and he's like, "I'm not signing that." And we're like, okay." And he goes, "Do you have anything else?" She's like, "I only have $1," because she went to the all girls school next door, and like they don't have pockets in their skirts. She had
Right.
like $1 like wedged in the like waistband or whatever for her to get a drink. He's like, "I'm not signing that either," and he just fucking turned and walked away. So fuck Dave Coulier.
You know what I'd do if I was a piece of shit? Probably show up at my old high school and demand to talk to children.
Yeah. I have. There's nothing better in my life. I'm just gonna tell kids what to do.
Okay, I'm still a little bit ill, and that almost killed me. Um, yeah. Anyway, TLC written about wrote No Scrubs about Dave Coulier. All right, moving on to our next video game related. Unless is this a TLC podcast now?
It could be, but it's
It doesn't have to
sounding.
not be.
Yeah, but it's also sounding like this is a Dave Coulier like hate cast.
All right, well let's not push it, and let's move on to the next question.
Oh no.
Is
my
there a
God.
ranked game and your placement in it that you would like to brag about?
Salt and it's not TLC, it's Salt and Pepper.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry.
Peppa. It's
Peppa.
Peppa.
I'm even wrong. I apologize.
We're all wrong.
Listen, here's the thing though. I have been solo queuing Ranked Resurgence on the current Warzone like a madman because no one should bother solo queuing a trio based game. But that's what I'm doing. And I'm getting partnered with nothing but people who don't communicate. And
Ugh.
because of that, I am in gold 3, which is admittedly pretty good for solo queuing, but I think I'm pretty hard stuck. So, like, get at me if you want to be part of a trio, and we can probably at least get to diamond. I'm not very good, but I think I could at least get to diamond. But speaking of diamond, I'm also diamond 2 in Rocket Racing right now, which is like the
Ooh.
Fortnite racing. And I don't give a toot if you don't think that's real because I enjoy it, and it's pretty fun.
Rocket racing.
I think it's real. It's a video game.
Getting ranks in it. So
There's ranks.
Yeah.
you're doing it.
But also it's Fortnite racing. So like if you were to tell me that it's not real, I don't actually have any sort of leg to stand on to defend myself because it's Fortnite racing.
Look,
I
man,
mean,
Disney just paid like $1 grillion to be a part of Fortnite. I don't think anybody can say Fortnite's not real anymore.
it's true.
No, I'm specifically talking about Fortnite racing.
I'm saying like anything that's in Fortnite is real at this point.
Yeah,
Like that's
Disney
more
didn't pay
real
to
than the real world.
And
Disney didn't pay to get like fancy wheels in there. They paid to get, the Marvel characters into Fortnite.
sure, fine. But I mean, it's real racing if there's like a first place, second place, third place, right?
Oh, there is. I have a whole thing. When I'm streaming it, I'm like, hey, we want to be on this side of the screen, not that side of the screen. Because this side of the screen gets points. That side of the screen loses points.
Sounds real to me.
Yeah.
I was going to say that no, there's nothing that I would really want to brag about in terms of like rank placement. And then I had to like think about it. I was like, oh yeah, there's this one time I played Overwatch when it was like season, I don't know, in the single digits of seasons, right? Like it was so early on where I got diamond rank and I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm done. I've never played since.
You just
Okay,
wanted to,
I
like, prove
haven't,
it to yourself?
yeah, like I proved it to myself that like I did it, and then I haven't played competitive since then. Like I played like with friends, but that's it. Yeah.
That's kind of cool to me though, because like both at the very beginning of a game's ranked tenure and at the very end of it, like both of those require such a specific kind of skill set and adaptability. And I really like respect people who put in the work to get good at ranked areas at the beginning and the end. In the middle is kind of a little bit more amorphous.
Mhm. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, that's way higher than I've been in any shooter ever, so I definitely think that's worth bragging about. Or at least any first person shooter, I suppose I should say, because there was a short period of time when I was top 1500 in the world in Mass Effect multiplayer.
Damn.
For just little while, like it was like a week or two. Um, Grinded my ass off to get there. Mass Effect multiplayer was just really fun.
I
Um,
didn't even know that Mass Effect had a
yeah,
multiplayer.
Mass Effect 3 had
I'm not
multiplayer. It
gonna
was
lie.
great. Mass Effect 3 had multiplayer, and it was great for two reasons. First off, it was like 4-player squad based co op horde mode.
Oh.
Oh,
Um,
that's kind of cool.
so it was like really fun. And the rewards that you would earn were like these packs of cards that would like level up specific weapons and stuff. And I love opening a pack of cards.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and then also every time that you completed a match in multiplayer successfully, it gave you bonus like resources in the main game towards like the ending Reaper battle, where it's like if you have this many you get like the bad ending, and if you have this many you get like the medium ending, and if you have this many you get the good ending. And so I got to the end of the game having played a shit ton of the multiplayer and was like, looks like I don't have to do any side quests, I'm gonna do them all. And like it was pretty great. And it like tells you like how many you need to like, oh, scientists estimate that if we have this many, so it wasn't a surprise. It was great. um Also, there was a short period of time when Storybook Brawl was still a game that I was top 100 in the world in that.
Nice.
um
Nice.
I was ranked 23rd globally in a game called Runeverse, um in their mode called Sea Brawl, which is basically Storybook Brawl. But I did that after the game had died. And so I don't know if that counts, because up until I got into the like 100, I was playing almost exclusively against bots but didn't realize it. And then I got into the 100s and I would start playing against real humans, and they were obviously much harder, but I was able to climb up to about 23rd in the world. And so I don't know. Game's dead. Does it still
People,
count? I don't
I
know.
mean, people are
I
still
don't
playing the game, right?
A
Like real
couple,
humans.
like 6 or 7.
I don't even know what Runeverse is. I like the name sounds vaguely familiar, but I have no idea.
Oh yeah, nobody knows what it is. It's a dead game.
Fair enough. Hey, does Fairy Tale Fable have a leaderboard?
Yeah.
Where you at in that?
Uh,
I Mel asking the questions that I was going to just leave out in the ether.
it resets every month. And so far this month, like as in March, I'm on page 32. Each page is 20 players. So I am somewhere in the top 640.
That's fucking good.
I'll
Okay.
take it. It's not
Yeah.
great,
I mean, it's
but I'll
still
take
early
it.
in the
I
season
mean,
too, yeah?
Yeah.
and you're not farming this the way that you were playing Storybook Brawl.
No, definitely not. I'm playing a bunch of other stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, which is, by the way, the reason I'm not bragging about Tekken right now because, man, have I been playing a bunch of other stuff even though I said I was gonna get good at Tekken. So oops.
That happens.
Yeah, it does happen. Uh, and it happens even more when, there are games that don't necessarily, get you ready to play ranked. So let's talk about that because, sometimes there's, like, a skill gap, sometimes there's, like, other things, and so most games, if they have an ranked and an unranked mode, will try to get you ready to play ranked. Can you guys think of an example where a game does that well, where it gets you ready to play ranked well? And conversely, what is a game that is terrible at getting you ready to play ranked? Or what makes a game great at getting you to play ranked, and what makes a game terrible at it?
Super great question. I honestly don't think that there's any game that can get you truly ready to play ranked until you actually go in and play it and experience what it's like to play at that type of competitive level. However, I do think that like maybe um having like a casual mode, like an unranked mode kind of helps because like it helps you understand like the metas that are happening in the game. And that in that way you can play with like these different types of like this like gameplay designs and then apply that into a ranked game. Um but truly like playing a game with anybody who already has experience in it, understands the strategies, understands the metas, like can really really help, you be a better ranked player in general.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I think that too many restrictions can frequently ruin it. Like if a game has in their casual mode has like widely open tactics, and then when you get to ranked, everything is super super restrictive and literally not
Mhm.
restricted because of the meta or like gameplay strategies, but just literally, oh, you want to play ranked? You're limited to these specific loadouts or players or powers or weapons, anything like that. I think that does a shit job of helping players make that transition from a casual to a ranked scenario.
For
And
sure.
so I was thinking like the same idea with changing rule sets between ranked and casual. Specifically, when I was thinking about this question, I was thinking Call of Duty multiplayer ranked because
Hmm.
they have a hard point that is casual, and then they have a hard point that is ranked, and they operate differently based on the rule sets and having a respawn counter. In casual, you have unlimited respawns. In ranked, you have 30 respawns amongst your entire team.
Oh.
And the idea of that, it like throws everything off. Everything changes. Not
Yeah,
only that, but they also have limitations on specific weapons or specific attachments that are allowed. So, like Call of Duty multiplayer really does a shit job, in my opinion, of helping people move from casual to ranked. But Call of Duty Warzone does a great job because it's literally Trio Resurgence. If you've played Trio Resurgence in casual mode, the same thing operates in Trio Resurgence and ranked mode. Obviously, the strategies might differ because you are now dealing with people that are more likely at your same skill level. So you have to consider, like, okay, I'm probably not going to be able to win a 2-on-1 battle against two players at my same rank, but they can use the same loadout. They can use the same perks. They can use the same everything,
yeah,
right? They have access to the same buy stations that you do, everything like that. And then the like god tier for me was Rocket Racing and Fortnite because they literally had two modes when you logged in: tutorial or ranked play, and
You're
that's it.
you're just like you're forced to playing the
Yeah,
ranked,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah. Do you want to play Rocket Racing and not have it be a tutorial? Congratulations, it's against other people. You're ranking yourself up now.
Yeah.
yeah.
Marvel Snap does that too, if I'm
Yep,
not mistaken.
they do. They do. That's a good call out.
Like oh, no, go ahead. No,
I was just gonna
no.
ask. So you mentioned like not being able to have the same loadout in ranked as you do in unranked. Is that because the game specifically locks those things out, or is it because those are not viable choices and so it's a bad idea, but you are still physically able to do it?
No, they're locked out. Like literally for Call of Duty multiplayer, the the last time I played, the only assault rifle that you had that you could choose when you went into ranked was the MCW. Whereas in casual, you have the MCW, you have the DG56, you have the SVA 545, you have the BP50, you had like I could name a number of assault rifles that you could pick if you were playing just regular ass Call of Duty multiplayer
Yeah,
versus if you went into ranked.
yeah. That's insane to me that they locked them out,
Yeah.
right? I I'm gonna say that I think both of these, whether it's good or bad, I think consistency is key. I always hate games where the casual or unranked gameplay is different than the ranked experience, like what you were talking about here. Shit like maps, characters. Worst of all, obviously, is rules that are locked to only rank play. Those piss me right off. The next worst thing is when there are options that are available that are just completely not viable for ranked, but for some reason left in the game as like traps for new players.
Oh
That's
yeah.
always
Yeah.
bullshit. Like balance your game, right? If your team composition requires like a jungler, a top lane, and a mid laner, like tell me that in the beginning. Don't like make me think I can do two mids or some crazy shit like that, you know? Like let me know that in the tutorial that like that's the meta I need to be in. Like that sort of shit. Um and then the flip side of this, as far as like games that do this really well, a lot of card games get you ready for ranked really, really well. I'm thinking specifically of Eternal, which is a game I've been playing for a long time. It's very plays very similar to like a Magic the Gathering, and there are a bunch of different modes that are available. And you can play like a casual draft mode against the computer for like X number of like earnable in-game currency, or you can play a ranked draft mode against players. And for that you have to use like the premium currency or whatever. You can still get it, like, but it costs more. But the nice part about it is that the draft mode against the computer is a really solid training ground. Like the bots are really well designed. The decks that you build there are going to be competitive in either mode, right? As long as you know what you're doing to draft. Like if you build a deck that will take you all the way through the gauntlet, which is the against computer mode, that deck would be really solid in draft. And so I think card games do a really good job of this, of like teaching you like what you need to play, how you need to build, like that sort of thing. Because failure is just not tolerated even in the casual modes, you know. Uh, so I think that's really good. All right, so Toxicity is a great album by System of a Down, but it is also a common problem in ranked play. Why do you think that toxicity is so prevalent, and what could developers do to combat it?
I feel like I have a very skewed opinion on why people are toxic, but honestly, when it really comes down to it, when you're being competitive about anything, I sometimes think that it brings out the worst in people, where like you want to do your best and having to rely on other people that you don't necessarily play with very often, and trusting them to do something that you know yourself could do probably better makes it very difficult for people because they want to
Yeah.
be in control. Um, and honestly, like being a woman on the internet, like really makes it difficult. It doesn't really help my case at all, because like everybody's just telling me that like women aren't on the internet. They're not
Ugh.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I just honestly think that like a lot of it just spawns from like just being competitive and then maybe also hiding behind a keyboard where like you can't necessarily see that other person so that a lot of people just think that it's totally acceptable to just say whatever the fuck they want.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. I think that there's a two-part problem here. One of the parts is that the stakes are so high, and that means that if it's a single player ranked experience like a fighting game or something like that, you're commonly going to get pissed at yourself, right? Maybe you'll like, oh, I could have done better or whatever. But it is way more likely that you are playing a ranked multiplayer game. And instead of being pissed at yourself, you are going to have an inflated idea of what your capabilities are versus what your teammates are. You are going to get really pissed off at your goddamn top laner who can't secure your gank to save their life, right? You are going to like think that they are in an easier position than they are because you don't have all of the understandings. It's really easy to assume the worst of your own teammates, especially when you're losing. Uh, and games don't generally reward you for thinking the best of your teammates, right? I think that that's part of the problem. I think the other part of that problem that you kind of touched on is the greater internet fuckwad theory, which, and we've discussed this before on the podcast, but it is the theory that when you take a regular human being and then you introduce both anonymity and an audience to that person, they become a total fuckwad, right? This comes from any arcade. It is a long-standing, firmly held belief of mine that people are just jackasses on the internet. And you talked about like being a woman, like they're jackasses to everyone who isn't them, right? And if you are not like them in ways that are more obvious, they are more of a jackass to you. And I think that that is total bullshit. Obviously, we've talked about belonging in video games for a good long while here. But there are a few games that have done this really well, where if you are like at the end of a match, there's commendations and then there's like demerits essentially. And if you get more than one demerit from like one of your teammates, it downranks you. And so the only way to then get back up to be able to play ranked is to like level back up. Like you have to go back through and like do the tedious like play with bots bullshit to like get back up to the point where you can play with ranked. And so it's a game that doesn't just reward you for being good, it actively like it has both carrot and stick. It actively punishes you for being an asshole. And because it has to happen from more than one person, you can't get griefed by one asshole on your team who is like, I'm going to downvote everybody else on the team because, like whatever dumb bullshit they've got in their head. So it was a really, really good system. The problem is the players hated it. So they like no one else adopted it. I can't even remember the name of the MOBA that used it. Thor talks about it in one of his shorts. But it sounds really good, and games should probably do something like that. Protect your minorities is basically what I'm going to say there. Also, last point, toxicity is great, but I am a big fan of Steal This Album. So, yeah. What about you, Kevin? What are your thoughts?
That's I feel like I knew at some point about the de-ranking people over their toxicity. I really like that idea, and it makes sense that the player base would not, because usually the loudest part of the player base is the worst part of the player base. See generally
Yeah.
Reddit.
Yeah.
Uh, I also had to mute myself for a while because I laughed at the link that you had posted, which was literally from 2004. So that's
Oh,
cool and makes me feel totally young. But if you're solo queuing, I think it's very easy to want to blame poor teammates. If anyone was in my last stream where I was playing ranked Warzone, you probably saw exactly what I'm talking about. I literally, like, my last ranked game, I was just yelling about my teammates. Um, and so most of my experience comes from either Warzone, where I'm playing with other teammates, or Pokemon or Rocket Racing. And those are entirely solo endeavors, right? So COD has live voice chat moderation. If you are being toxic in on voice chat, they have AI that monitors it and will moderate in the moment, which is kind of cool now. Pokemon doesn't let you communicate at all, even a little bit, because it's associated with Nintendo, and Nintendo has somehow never figured out the internet. And Rocket Racing is literally just like, it's Rocket Racing. You press a button and you go. So
You
there's
do be a
more.
rocket. You do be racing.
Yeah, why do you need to talk? You don't. We're not going to
Taking
include
those
that.
turns.
So there like the aside from COD, there's incredibly limited toxicity. But in COD, there's a lot of it, and there's a lot of it in casual. There's a lot of it in ranked. There's a lot of it at the lower end. There's a lot of it at the top end. There's a lot of it at the middle end. So no matter what you're doing, it's incredibly toxic. And I think Activision is probably doing the best they can with the AI moderation and follow through that they do. But if you look at Reddit, everyone disagrees with me.
What do you mean they disagree with you?
Like they could do more?
No, everyone wants to be able to say slurs, and I hate it so much.
Oh my
Ah,
god.
no, okay.
Yeah. All right.
That checks. It's the
Yeah.
internet.
All of it is, I don't know why I got chat banned. All I said was, oh my God, I wouldn't even imagine saying that on my worst day.
yeah. Yeah, there used to be a subreddit called Best of Tribunal, which was a place where if you were on the ranking review committee for League of Legends, you could see like what people were banned for, and you could vote on whether or not they should be reinstated. And it was always somebody who was just like telling other players to off themselves, and slurs and hate speech and all this other shit. And then every once in a while you would have somebody who would come onto the subreddit and be like, all I said was this, why was I banned? And it's like,
Yeah.
because that's hate speech, and
Yeah.
you threaten physical violence against another human over pixels on a screen. It's
Yeah.
just ridiculous.
Yeah, I was in a match and someone told their teammates to self-delete, and I responded by calling that person a piece of trash and telling everyone that they belong there. And I'm pretty sure I got a chat ban, but I'm also pretty sure they did too. And I was like, you know what? If I get a chat ban for calling someone a piece of trash, it is what it is. But I'm pretty sure that if I did, they did too.
A piece of
For sure.
trash is a pretty tame uh
Hey, if that's
insult.
where I agree, but if that's where Activision wants to draw their line, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Call that person garbage. They deserve
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yes.
that is a well-earned chat ban on my end. So
Yep. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so here's an interesting question that when I was coming up with the idea for this, Gannon posed this to me, and he asked, if you are playing a ranked game and you come up against a person who is in danger of ranking down, or maybe they're about to be promoted up a rank, do you ever go easy on them?
no, no, ranked almost all ranked play is a zero-sum game. My gain is your loss, my loss is your gain. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. You are going to be beating me at my absolute best for whatever goal you are going after, because if you beat me, I am losing something. And as we all know, humans are incredibly adverse to the even the concept of loss. And so my skill ranking is not going down a little bit without me trying my absolute best.
I would agree, and I'm gonna read word for word what I put in the outline. Fuck no. Why? You're why? Like you're playing ranked. Slaughter them all. Periods in between. Like you're playing this game because and you're playing ranked because like you're trying to earn those ranks. So you should earn it. You shouldn't be begging people to like go easy on you because like you're gonna rank down or you want to rank up. Like you should earn your spot. That's how I feel about
Fair
it.
enough. I actually mostly agree with you, but not all the way. Um I think that most of the time it is uh exactly that, right? Like I'm the final boss of you getting to where you are or staying here or whatever. The only exception to this is I have been playing some team games where someone was about to rank up and it was obvious that their teammates decided to throw the game just to be assholes to that person, right? So it's like, oh, I was playing League, and like it's like like before you playing League, at least you used to, I don't know if you still can, you could see where someone's ranking was, and you could see like this is their promotion match or whatever, and then like two of their teammates just sit in the fountain, and don't do anything and decide I'm going to go AFK so this person doesn't rank up. And in that case, I'm going to surrender. I think it feels more honorable. Um, I think it is bullshit that somebody on the other team can be punished for the actions of their team members. And I'm okay with giving up a few of my points to make sure that that person isn't punished by their teammates, right? But I think that that's probably the only scenario where I'm okay with like going easy on someone. Um, and obviously, I was never playing League of Legends at the highest ranks. Maybe that changes if I'm way high up there and I'm like every point is hard battled for. But I really never like played League like hyper competitively, and so it didn't really matter to me. Um, but I don't know. I just felt bad for people sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't. I At the same time, I feel like if you're at the level where every point is hard battled for, you aren't going to see, you aren't going to end up with teammates who are willing to tank themselves just to see one person not rank up.
That is hopefully true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mel, you look like you have a bunch of questions.
I mean, I don't really have questions, but like, and it's not really, it doesn't really happen to me in ranked play, but there has been some games, like it's multiplayer games, like you join solo queue, and then like for whatever reason, all like your whole entire team dips, so it's just like you versus four people.
Yeah.
And like I have been in situations where they're like, yeah, like we're just gonna let you win because like it sucks that you are the only person, and that's
Yeah.
nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
But in a ranked game, like, I would rather you just get it over with sooner than later so then I can just move on to my next game,
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. It's definitely at no point is it required. I want to make that
right?
abundantly clear. Like you should not go into a game expecting that someone is going to be kind to you, because to both of your points, like you're in ranked, right? Like
hmm,
you're there for a reason. Um, but I don't know, man. Sometimes it just life sucks sometimes, and sometimes you can make it easier for somebody.
yep.
Um,
Good guy, Dale.
Sometimes I don't know. Maybe there's times that I didn't realize it, but I tried. Um, So let's talk about the opposite of that, which is smurfing. Smurfing is the idea that you have an alternate account that is lower than your main account so that you can play at a lower rank, oftentimes with friends or without your friends because you don't want to mess your rank up. So you can't play with your friends anymore. So you have a separate account. Um, what are your thoughts on smurfing and when is it okay? And I want to go first here because I think some forms of smurfing are fine. But if you are making a new account just to beat up on other new accounts, you are a shit stain and should be banned from your game. Not only is it a bad time for everyone that isn't you, it also makes your game's community actively worse. And so you are like not just harming the people in that game, you are harming your whole game's community. You are terrible, right? That's my thoughts on that. What about you guys? Is that too harsh?
No,
I mean,
I think we probably agree. I think if you have a Smurf account to play ranked because you like to play ranked, either a lower rank to play with friends or a lower rank because you don't want to ruin like your friends aren't on. Uh, I don't really have an issue. There are some people that have that like ranked anxiety, and so they don't want to play ranked unless they're with friends. And then there are other people that like get juiced off of playing ranked. And so if you're that person, I don't really have an issue with it.
Mhm.
But if you do it because you want to feel like a god amongst mortals, where you're just like stomping up lower ranked kids, you're a shitbag. And I hope you get dumpstered by someone who's doing the same thing. And when I say I hope you get dumpstered, I hope you and the other shitbag trade. And like in a shooter like Call of Duty, I hope you both eat each other's frag nades and get dumpstered mutually. Uh, but like for me, I was watching a streamer the other day who was having internet issues, and he was like, "I don't want to be the reason my friends drop their rank, so I am playing my alternate account and I will be solo queuing." And he was like hard carrying people through silver and gold, and he was like, while he was doing it, he was like playing it almost casually, talking through every decision he was making, everything that he was doing. So he was like, he was helping his teammates, he was helping the community that he had streaming. And I was like, that's actually like, that's literally the best case scenario for
Mhm.
someone who has decided to use a Smurf account.
Fair.
yeah.
What about you, Mel?
I kind of really don't care. I'm sure that it's probably very tilting for some people when they like get womped on and they take their rank very seriously. Um, but in all ranked games, you can't win every game. But at the same time, like if the game forces you to play ranked and you know for yourself that like you need like warm up rounds before you can actually play at the level that you should be playing at, like I don't know if there's another way for you to do that without having a Smurf account.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
But, again, that's a different thing. That's not somebody who's in there just to like go in there and beat up on new accounts. That's somebody who's like, hey, I'm gonna like warm up a little bit beforehand. And I think that that's a different thing. I don't know. I
But
don't
you're
know.
still womping on like people who are lower ranked than you. This is kind of like also the same like concept as like I'm going to de-rank because I want to womp on kids, you know? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. This question is sponsored by Chipotle. Do you want to wait for 30 goddamn minutes contemplating where your life went wrong as you watch the whole line of workers at Chipotle ignore your online order? Do you want to have the store manager lie to your fucking face when you ask her what went wrong? Try Chipotle or don't. I don't fucking care. Don't give them your money. That's the Mexican food I had earlier. Anyway,
Rip.
if life had ranks for everything, what would your highest rank be in, and where do you think you would fall on the global leaderboard?
I'll go.
Listen, it sounds like you're everyone in that Chipotle probably low on ranks of
Yeah,
whatever it was that they were doing.
yeah,
Um, my choice here was physical fitness or rocket racing because I think I'm pretty good at both. One I'm good at because not a lot of people do it, and the other one I think I'm pretty good at because not a lot of people do it. And so it's I'm like it's like me and Runeverse.
fair. Do you think now, like, what ranking would you put yourself in physical? Because Rocket Racing is a video game, right? We
Yeah,
know where you are
I'm
there.
very good at it. Diamond 2. I can't say that enough. I'm so proud to be in Diamond.
Yes, and I'm stoked for you. Where would you put yourself in physical fitness, though?
I'd say probably like a plat or a diamond. I obviously, as I just get like stun locked by that question. Obviously, social media probably skews that and like makes me think that I'm a lower rank than I am. But I would say probably like low diamonds, maybe.
So is
Maybe I
that
don't
like
think I'm like grandmaster.
right? Grandmaster is typically like 0.01%, right?
Yeah, yeah, we're not there.
Would you
I'm
say
not.
you're like in the top 10% globally?
I I th maybe like top 20, and then I also think that we have to, like, account for natty versus not natty individuals, right?
Okay.
But either way, I would say that I'd say, like, maybe top 20 to 25% of, like,
Okay.
all of humanity.
Yeah, and like when you're talking about physical fitness, because there's a lot of different variations of like what physical fitness would be. Like, are you like more of like a strength fitness guy, endurance? Like, there's a whole bunch of different subcategories in this. Some people are in it for just like the looks and the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am doing the best I can to hit, like, all of those areas, which is why I think that I am good in all of them, but not great in any particular area. So, like, aesthetics, um, strength, actually, flexibility, I'm, like, at best top 50% if I'm gonna be very honest with myself and everyone else here.
I think
Flexibility
you are
is
selling yourself
garbage.
short. I
I
think you are
appreciate
selling
that, but
yourself short. I think you are forgetting how many old people there are.
yeah, yeah,
Also
there's a lot of
true.
old people.
There's a lot of old people.
Yeah, but, like, how often do I find myself in Florida? I can't compare myself to them. So
You're comparing yourself to literally everyone on the planet. It's global, man.
yeah, but I'm like, I'm trying to also contemplate the number of people. in countries that I've never been to that are able to just like sit in a squat without any problem for like minutes and minutes and minutes, no problem, right? Like I
Yeah.
can't do that. And I know a large part of that is my ankle flexibility. And that's why I work on my ankle flexibility
I
because
mean,
I
I
want to be able
guess
to sit in a
so, but
squat.
also babies can't lift a 10-pound dumbbell.
But
Yeah,
they would
I'm
be
dude,
considered
I'm like
unranked.
if you compare me to if you compare me to babies, dude, like I'm off the charts. Bro, I didn't realize we were counting toddlers,
Yeah, bro,
which is which is literally the best name for them because like look at them. They are absolutely just toddling about.
just toddling, man. He's great.
Yeah, physical
I was
fitness.
playing basketball with my 3-year-old niece earlier today, and she had a
No, you
hard
weren't.
time. What?
You were playing basketball. She was playing I got this ball.
She was trying to put it in the basket and was standing next to it. It was at her waist, and she missed a bunch of times. So,
Yeah,
like,
she was playing I got this ball, which was a
yeah,
great game for her.
yeah, that's true.
She wasn't playing basketball.
We did all enjoy the game. Um,
Good.
yeah, but I'm saying you're better than 3-year-olds at all of this. So, aside from maybe endurance, I don't know. Their energy levels are insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do they do it?
Yeah, it's crazy.
They don't have the weight of capitalism bearing on them.
That's so true.
So, here I am.
Well, what it's like to be young.
Yeah.
I think that I would be really high ranked in tasting foods and like different types of foods because I love trying new things and I'm not afraid to be like, yeah, like give me that weird dish. Like I'd like to see what it's all about. Um I have tasted some weird ass shit in my life, which I probably shouldn't have, but I did. Um so I'd probably rate myself in like I don't know, like plat 3, maybe diamond in food tasting.
Okay. Okay. Uh,
I've tried a lot of stuff.
so my question about this is this number of items tried or how good you are at trying new items?
Great question.
or
Probably
or
the
like accuracy in evaluating items tried.
ooh,
That
Ooh.
was my thought.
that one's very difficult to do. Um I would say that my original ranking was more or less try like the number of foods that I've definitely tried.
Okay.
Um but this probably could also go for like trying to figure out like the taste in foods as well. I would say it's relatively the same ranking.
Okay.
Okay.
I will absolutely concede that because I know I got trash taste buds, so I know you're probably better than me.
Yeah, I'm garbage ranking in this. This checks out.
Yeah, is there
W-
like a wood ranking? Is that below bronze? I'm
iron,
there.
iron. Yeah.
Iron. Okay.
Um, what would plat 3 be though in your ranking system? Like what percentage?
Ooh, really good question. Probably closer to like 60% of no, probably even lower than that. Probably because like a lot of people are very much like stuck to like their own like cultures, like cuisines. Maybe closer to like 40%.
I think you're selling yourself short, but okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
like
like if you
if you think about it, right? Like I think anybody who's I don't know. Great question.
Look, I once worked with a woman who worked at a Best Buy with me, and she had never eaten a burrito.
What? What?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't try hummus until I was a grown adult. I think you are selling yourself short.
all right,
But
so
there's so many tons of other foods out there that I
just a
feel like I
little
haven't
bit of
tried.
quick math, right?
Okay, quick math me.
If 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 Americans are at 340 million
Hmm.
and the worldwide population is at 7 billion,
It's at
we are
8.1, by the way.
I did 7.
Okay.
So we're at about we're at about 5%, right?
Okay.
So consider what other amount of people might be able to have access to the entire smorgasbord of cuisine from multiple different areas that we have available in the US, and particularly that you have available in this specific part of the US. And
Oh,
then consider how much that might put you at like the top probably 5% or higher
Probably
as it
higher.
relates to what you've tried, what you still have to try, and what other people would refuse to try.
Right. Plus, you've done a bunch of world traveling, which is going to skew that number even higher. I think you are probably top 3% in the world in this.
hmm. I never really considered it like that. Also, I'm pretty bad at math, so
I literally, okay,
so I feel like this is kind
literally,
of spot on.
all I did was divided 340 by 7,000 and then added a couple zeros because you know, that's what 340 million divided by 7 billion would be.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with that. I think I'm actually pretty good at motivating others. I don't think I'm grandmaster. I don't think I'm like top 0.01% or anything. I'm not like a paid motivational speaker or like a paid professional coach. Um, but it is a big part of my career. I get pretty constant uh, and consistent positive feedback about it. And so, I'm gonna place myself in the top 1% in the globe, meaning that I'm somewhere in the top 81 million humans and motivating others. I think that actually seems fair. Um, like I'm I'm pretty good at this. Which sounds bad because you guys were both like, I'm in the top 20% or whatever, but I'm also pretty decent at math. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to drop myself.
Yeah, but like,
I could feel this.
do you mind if I gas you up a little bit?
I don't.
I'm gonna say you're probably even higher than that. You might be like half percent. Like you might be like top of the top because uh, for anyone who doesn't know, Dale used to, when it was still an option, be able to organize and create a holiday event where he would gather everyone that he knew at Denny's
Oh,
on
yeah.
Christmas. And every Christmas at Denny's, he would get the same waitress. And the same waitress would request to work that day. That day being Christmas Day, she would be like, "No, I need to be here for Dale and his team." And she looked at me. She talked to me. I don't even know she knew that I was related to you. And she was like, Dale is just, he's like the sun. He is like the sun because everybody wants to be around him and they are always so much better and warmer when they are. So, I'm going to say you're probably like higher than top 1%.
I would also agree.
I was not expecting such unbelievably kind words. I was definitely not expecting such to hear a story that I did not know about Diane from Denny's.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Shout out Diane.
Shout out to Diane. Um, I'm not crying, you're crying. Yeah, that's very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. Um, yeah, thank you, thank you. I would I would say that I'm I don't know that I'm going to live up to what you just said, but I do think that I'm pretty good at motivating others. In fact, I'm going to tell Dan to go fuck himself and he might do it. So, um that's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Um
I think we're all top 1% at that.
For
yeah.
sure.
Yep, definitely. All right, anybody got anything else to say about ranked video gaming?
Nope.
Nothing from me.
Great. Tell the people where you can be found.
I can be found on so many things as Kevin says. Just like look everywhere because I like create accounts and then I apparently forget about them. Like last time I was on, I was like, oh shit, I have a Blue Sky. But yeah, I got a Blue Sky. I got a Twitter. If you call it X, I won't follow you. Uh, I'm on Twitch and YouTube. I'm doing all the things as Kevin Tense wherever I can.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm Melephant. You can find me on the Discord and on Blue Sky as Melephant.
I'm 20 Sided Ninja. I'm on the Discord and Blue Sky. And speaking of YouTube, you can check out Kevin Tence's YouTube. I highly recommend it. He put out a pretty hilarious video about skill based matchmaking, and how it is specifically designed to make streamers' lives worse, which is pretty hilarious. Definitely worth checking that out. And if you're not yet following Super OK on YouTube, we're starting to put some shorts and stuff up on there. So maybe go give us a follow.
Yeah.
Also, really quick, just want to thank all the Patreons for your continued support. Couldn't do it without you. Love you forever. Thanks so much. All right. Anybody got anything else?
Nope.
Nope.
All right. Well, then in that case, I hope you all have a super okay day. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye.
y'all.